Countess Nara van Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome! Well, it's time to continue our discussion on the Pathfinder role-playing game system where I go over the races that you can play in Pathfinder. Now, as I said last time, I'm not going to go over the very common races. I'm going to be going over the various unusual ones from many sources, and including a number of races that only talk about in the various bestiaries. So, let's continue where we left off with some of the races and talk about Catfolk. Now, Catfolk are an interesting group. They are born explorers, masters of curiosity. They love to go out and explore, discover new places wherever they should travel. The thing about them is that this discovery doesn't just represent, of course, going and traveling to places. It can also represent self-discovery, looking inwards and discovering new things about themselves that they never knew about before. They are, of course, nimble, capable, and active most of the time, but in an almost strange juxtaposition, they're also very able to switch to the quiet contemplation of understanding their own existence very easily. Some of them even like to ponder age-old questions to see about if something kind of answer to them is correct or if there's another way of looking at a problem that everyone thought has been solved. There is no wrong in Catfolk society, and you're always encouraged to experiment, discover, to try things out. Curiosity is something that should be embraced. Eccentricities and peculiarities in amongst members of the tribe are, in fact, accepted, something that might not be in other races in their own groups. There's also a sense of community in amongst them. All these eccentricities, all this individuality means nothing to the family, the tribe itself, to the group whole. And you can see that they won't put themselves above the tribe, ever. They will put the family first. And this can hold true when it comes to being in other societies, even extending that to others around them, to their friends, and such, and those amongst groups they would be with. Now, they are lithe and slender. They're slightly taller than a dwarf, but not as tall as a human. And their main thing is the feline features. They're covered in a feline-like hair. They have a tail, the kind of slit for eyes, almost kind of feline features to their face. Pointed ears, but more kind of cat-rounded. They also have retractable claws in their hands, not enough to interfere with their ability to manipulate things like any other race. They have same dexterity of hands. And most of them, these claws aren't really good weapons, though a couple of them are born with the ability to use these claws as vicious weapons. Also, though uncommon, it is not impossible for some of them to have whiskers. So, in their societies, they tend to be more tribal than anything, especially when left alone. These tribal societies, self-expression means everything above all else in the society, but not again against above the good of the society as a whole. They always look to that family, to that tribe. So many a race has gone in thinking that these creatures would be pushovers and found that they are excellent at banding together and working as a single force to defend themselves against any kind of threat, making them much more fierce than you would think. Catfolk prefer to be led by their most competent members, and from their group they will select a number of sub-chiefs to effectively represent them. These sub-chiefs will, if need be, in times of battle, war, or great conflict between the members of the sub-chief, whether disagreeing or otherwise, select a chieftain amongst them to be a sort of mediator amongst everything. The chieftain tends to, of course, be the most capable, even among these capable, and oftentimes is those that are magically talented. Now, if you move them into a more civilized area where they'll have more relations with others, you will see they will have a similar tribal structure of electing those above them to be sub-chiefs, but they oftentimes include other members of others around them, other extended creatures, basically friends and family of this entire group that become part of this tribe in their mindsets. Oftentimes when you get Catfolk being member of a group of many races, they won't look to themselves to be the top of the head. They won't look to their own competence and them to be leaders, to become the sub-chieftains. They'll look to others first and then support them. Now, because community and cooperation are the center of their own societies, they tend to be towards alignments which foster that, i.e. good-based alignments. So the majority of Catfolk tend to be good. Also, because they almost have that freedom of self-expression, they also do tend towards chaotic. So chaotic good tends to be the alignment, though there are always exceptions to the case depending on the individual, as within most races. Most of the time they have exceptions with, in their minds, good cause. That whatever direction they do take is for the betterment of their overall society, or some kind of reasoning. They have their own causes for turning to law, or to evil. Now, because of their natural hunting abilities and gathering abilities, many of them tend to be classes such as rangers and druids. They do flock towards those. But they also have a love for performance in a way, for song and dance, which would make you think they would turn towards bard. But there are great tales of sorcerer heroes from amongst the catfolk, so rather than bard when they turn towards magics, they turn towards sorcerer. Those catfolk which internalize their ability to explore and better themselves oftentimes towards being monks or wizards. They see these practices as great classes to develop this internalization that they do seek also. And while groups like cavaliers, inquisitors, even exceptionally paladins, those groups that have steadfast dedication do exist, they are rare amongst catfolk. Though, because of the nature of society, any catfolk that would choose this path would be well respected by their kinfolk. If a catfolk decides to become a paladin because they are steadfast because they can hit this steadfast belief that unfortunately most catfolk can't, their kin will respect that. So in a way, though there are normal classes, anything is an option for a catfolk. Now, catfolk themselves are more dexterous, more charismatic, but they tend to be unwise, so they tend to get into a little bit of trouble because of this. They are a little lucky, meaning that they can choose on a reflex save to roll 2 dice and take the higher of the 2 of them. They'll have to choose before they roll. They're also natural hunters, getting bonuses to perception, stealth, and survival. They're also better at running, charging, withdrawing. They get a little extra speed. And they, of course, have low light vision. Their eyes are good in the dim light. Now, if you're looking at alternate racial abilities, of course, the main one is claws. They can choose to have their claws be actual weapons they could use and hone them into vicious fighting tools. Some of them are better off with, rather than being more hunters, a little bit more clever. In this way, those that are clever, rather than getting the other skill bonuses, get skill bonuses to bluff, diplomacy, and sense motive. They're a little better when it comes to working in society. Some of them are excellent climbers, getting a climb speed. They can hustle up a tree, leap from here to here. Basically, a bit of bonus when it comes to climbing can be good. Hustle up a tree and live on there pretty much indefinite. Some can be very great fallers, always landing on their feet regardless of damage. That can be helpful to leap down from a place, maybe take a little damage, but not be prone so you can react right away. And some of them have very well-developed senses of smell. Scent. They get the scent ability. Of course, there are other abilities that you could choose from, but those are more tailored towards your character. Now, they do have a wide variety of favored class bonuses. The only one I did want to mention is a very powerful one when it comes to catfolk oracles. They can choose to know an extra spell. This extra spell has to be of a level lower than the one they currently can cast at maximum. So a first level sorcerer catfolk can choose from a 0 level spell, but every level after that, up to when they're getting 9th level spells, they can know no more 8th level spells. So this is very potent for an oracle, as then you expand your spell repertoire by 20 spells. This is great for you. So I can highly recommend, if you're looking for something with a very powerful favorite class bonus, of course catfolk here have a very potent one. Granted, their other favorite class bonuses can be very useful in various circumstances that you want to use them. Now, there are 2 archetypes that catfolk in particular can only get. The first is a cat burglar. It's exactly what it says. It's a rogue archetype, and it's all about getting in, taking something, being undetected about taking it, and getting out. They have an ability that helps them hide themselves, and one that helps them disarm any traps they may have along their way. The other archetype is, of course, Nimble Guardian, which is a monk archetype. This is all about not only getting into combat, but defending yourself and defending others around them. They are granted bonuses for both defense of themselves and others. So there are a number of feats which are accessible to catfolk. I'm only going to talk about a couple of here which I think are the most interesting ones that you might want to take. The first is Black Cat, which as an immediate action you could have someone basically get a bit of bad luck and re-roll an attack against you. This is at a -4 penalty, and they got to take the result of whatever happens there. Next one is Catfolk Exemplar, which you can take multiple times, and each time you take it, you get a different ability that enhances some of your abilities. Whether you have low light vision and you want to now have scent, or you've taken scent as an alternate and now want to actually have low light vision, or have some other kind of combination of various things that can enhance your character, this allows you to choose it. Claw Pounce allows you to make a full attack with your claws. When you have the claws special ability, you get 2 of them. If you should be able to pounce, you get your 2 claws in once you hit at the end, making charging a little bit better. The last one I want to talk about is Nimble Striker, which is another really good one. Because if you charge, lunge, or use the cleave feat, you do not take the penalty you normally would to those. You do not take the -2. This means I, as a catfolk, could lunge all the time without penalty. I could charge in without penalty to AC. I'm protecting my AC when I'm using any of these maneuvers, so no penalties. Doesn't seem like a lot, but if I charge in to get that one attack, I leave myself just a little bit open, and that 2 can sometimes mean the difference between a strike and being safe. Now, there are also a number of rogue talents which are specifically for catfolk. The only one I'm going to mention today is Vicious Claws, which means if you sneak attack with claws, you do d8s instead of d6. This makes the cat burglar, using claws, just so more vicious. So you can pounce in, get 2 attacks, out of nowhere, and d8 sneak attacks. Very nice if you're looking for that kind of character. So I can highly recommend you check out, of course, Catfolk in this respect. But that's it for today. I've talked about the Catfolk. Catfolk are an interesting one. They're a bunch that are feline people who love to travel, who love to learn more, explore, not only the world but themselves. And of course, they can always have some vicious claws, which they're always ready to use and protect their friends. So if you want to be this type of character, I can recommend checking out Catfolk and seeing about playing it yourself. Remember, all these races are more optional, so I would talk to your game master about what kind of races he's allowing. Just the core ones from the book, or some of the more extended ones. But I hope you're having a great day, and until the next time, I bid you farewell.